Hey, my name is Ashley Versher. I am the writer, director, and lead actor of the film Brief Exchanges.
What's your film about?
My film is about the day in the life of a young Black woman in New York City, navigating her intersectionalities of being Black, a woman, and a New Yorker, or a new New York, with a through line of a romance, a budding romance.
Now, you're also a working actress. I've seen that by your bio here that you've been on the series American Auto, Law and Order
Mhm.
SVU. You've done some work with BET. Do you want to be an actor slash director, or was this something that you conceived to give yourself a role?
No, I mean, I consider myself an actor and a director. I'm obviously a new director. This is my first film. I worked behind the scenes in some different independent projects, especially when I was living in New York City full time. And I think over just time, and especially when COVID happened, the initial outbreak of COVID, I think for me personally, I just really wanted to express myself as an artist. And I think I had it was a hard time. I mean, it was a hard time for everyone. And in particular, the Black Lives Matter sort of movement was, there was an additional uprising, and that really sparked some of this film for me. The film really showcases, fortunately and unfortunately, microaggressions and what that experience looks like in different iterations. And so that's kind of how this film came together for me. But I think it was always about making the work, and I think throughout that process, identifying myself as an actor and a director.
Would you be interested in directing material that you haven't starred in, or won't?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm actually working on something now. I'm writing, and I do not want to star in it.
So are you interested in writing and directing your own projects, or would you direct other people's work as well?
I would absolutely direct other people's work. I mean, I think for me, even though obviously like I wrote this film, it's really about the story at the end of the day. So I've had the opportunity to sit in on some readings recently, and hear some really interesting stories that new other writers and new writers are creating. I just want to tell stories that mean something to me, and stories that I think are useful and productive and mean something to the world to see.
Well, I really enjoyed your film quite a bit. I thought it was very well directed. The chemistry between you and the other lead was really strong. And it's just beautifully shot, too.
Thank you.
And as someone who has a fondness for New York, I thought you displayed the city nicely, too. I always like seeing films about the city of New York. And sometimes when people make films about the city of New York, you don't really feel the city. This film, you really feel the city.
Yeah, it was a really important part to me. I think in other ways, this film is kind of a love letter to New York. It really, I grew a lot living there, and it made me who I am, and I'm very grateful and appreciative of that. And it's a city that I love. So I think when we were making and when we were filming and when I was figuring out the shots, strong considerations were, had in terms of what it looked like and how I was presenting New York and what are the beautiful aspects that we could present. Like, I think one of my favorite shots in the film is that shot where it's like the middle of the film and we're walking up the street, and it's kind of a long shot,
Mhm.
or turns into that.
And you go off into the distance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just such a New York moment, and the background sounds are the sounds of the city. It's very picturesque. I think, we did our best.
How long did it take this project to come into fruition? Did you mentioned COVID, the pandemic, got you thinking about something like this? So when did you conceive it, shoot it, and was this something that you just finished recently, or was this something over the 3-year process?
Yeah, so initially I started writing this project maybe some years ago, and it was a very different story. But the beginning of the film is very similar to initially what I had written. And then during 2020, around September, I think, August, September, I think, was when I sat down and I was like, you know what, I just really want to finish this film. And I had a very clear vision of what I wanted it to be on paper.
Hmm.
So sat down and did that, and that was 2020. And then obviously it was just utter madness and sadness during that time period. And so all the way from there through the beginning of 2021 was editing the film, working with a friend of mine to edit the film, and then as written, and then starting to pull together a team a little bit, and then also starting to really construct what our fundraising process was going to be and what that whole thing was going to look like. And then in the middle of 2021, I think June 6th, 2021, if I'm doing this right, I think is when we launched our fundraising campaign.
Okay.
And we had a really successful campaign. And then at the end, towards the end of the year, September is when we shot the film. And then post-production took quite a while to get through. And also we hit the holidays, and so then it was like post-production, and the festival circuit had kind of already started, and I really wanted to try to take the film through one full festival circuit, and I didn't want to split it up. I know sometimes that happens just because, I mean, when you're making an independent film, you are just like calling all favors, and you're on timelines, which is totally appropriate under those circumstances. So for me, I just really wanted to we finally finished, and I wanted to get to a point where I said, okay, cool, we can do all the other things, because I think when you're making your first film, you can do a bunch of research, but there's a million things that you're going to learn, and there's a million things that you need to learn about post-production. And then once it's done, there's a million things you have to learn about the festival circuit and just the process of going through that. What is a director's statement?
Yeah.
What is that even? And so you have to go through this whole process. And then on top of that, researching all the festivals that you want to submit to, because you're spending money every time you're submitting. So I think I took a lot of that into consideration, and I tried to take my time with that and seek advice from people who have been very successful in the festival circuit that I know. And then I started submissions.
So if I'm not mistaken, I think I heard you say this is your first film. This is actually the first film that you made?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm impressed. I really am. It's very accomplished. Because I've been doing the film festival for 25 years, and I do see work by first-time filmmakers, and it's good, but yours is pretty slick and accomplished. I'm pretty impressed by that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I had a really good team behind me. I'm very lucky for those people. And I'm very lucky for the actors. A lot of them are my friends, who were very dedicated. And I mean, I think we were all happy to be making something. So.
Oh, that's great. Especially, soon after COVID too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was for everyone, it was a very difficult period. For as an actor, it was a very uncomfortable period for specific reasons of the way the business functions. For my friend Claire plays the woman in the park, and she's actually from Wisconsin. And for her and my friend Gerard, who plays my opposite, the other lead, like, I think we were just very passionate about making something and working really hard together. And I got really lucky. Like, I had a group of people who weren't about complaining, who weren't about being frustrated, who were very focused, and felt very comfortable in their surroundings, and really wanted to have a really good time and make something that meant something to them.
Oh, that's wonderful. How's it doing on the festival circuit?
It's doing pretty good. We've gotten into 8 film festivals so far. And then I just got, excuse me, yesterday I noticed that we did not get into a film festival that I did really want to get into, but we got into their, sometimes if you ranked really high and you don't get in the festival, you can get into their series. They have like a series that they do at a period of time throughout the year. So we got into, it's Holly Shorts. So we got into that, their monthly series, which I'm very grateful for and really excited about. Like you said, like, it's my first film, and so it's hard to really know what to expect once you get to the finish line, or the quote unquote finish line, because the festival is a whole another part. So it's been just like really exciting, and I'm so grateful, and I feel like I've learned a lot. And even my opportunities of being at the festivals, meeting other filmmakers, it's just like a really beautiful connection, I think, that we all have, because we're all independent filmmakers, and we all have a very clear understanding how difficult it is, and so a lot of respect for each other. So it's a really beautiful community that you obviously have a huge part in cultivating. So thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. I don't think I have that big of a part, but you're welcome.
Yeah.
Do you have any parting words to make people want to see your film at the festival, that could entice them to see your film and seek it out?
Yeah, I mean, look, let's go and support some like Black filmmakers, like, first and foremost, women filmmakers. But I think when you go to a festival, also, check out the programming and go see the things that sound interesting to you. There's going to be a bunch of wonderful films at the festival. So try to see as much as you can, because we all appreciate it a lot.
Well, thank you. Thank you again for joining me today.
Thank you.